Now, another thing that is also important for me is the motivation. Because one thing is to have the idea in your head to say, this is what I want to do. But when you get to the field, you realize that it's a different ball game altogether. So you need a different kind of energy to pull you through then.
Mhm.
So that is the question. What is the energy that is pulling you through? I mean, what is motivating you to continue to do what you're doing?
If not now, when? That's the motivation. If not now, when? When will it happen? I'm 46. This work of developing Africa, having Africans and people descended from Africa being united social economically to get involved, invested, and inspired by each other has been going on since the 50s, the 60s, the 70s, the 80s. And what part can I play? And that's the motivation. The other piece of motivation is that I was able to bring my kids to the continent, and they experienced Africa, and they ask me quite often, why are we here? And I have to tell them I haven't got it together yet to be there full time, right? Because you attend school in America that's free. In Africa, it's not, and you're not prepared for village school as much as you think. You're not prepared for that life quite yet, my dear. And so you would need private school, and you would need tutors, and you would need all this other, things. And how can we ensure that what you receive, your colleagues, your people you play with receive the same thing? Because I'm not just trying to have you be well, but the people around you need to be well too. And how can we make that happen? So that's the motivation. I love Africa and everything that comes from her. And that means I love myself, and I'm willing to do anything to keep us alive.
I sort of like it very much when you say, not just you, but everybody around you to be well. Because it makes me want to think a little bit, no? Because I want to believe that you have been to South Africa. I've never been to South Africa, no? But okay, I've talked to a lot of people from South Africa, and I've come to understand a bit also about South Africa, no? It's also like Nigeria, where you have super rich and super poor. And
Yeah.
when you build a society like this, it's just like Israel and Palestine, no? When you
Mm.
have a country that is extremely well and a country that is extremely poor. That is just something about human being that you cannot conquer. That that desire to survive. It will break even fire. It will cross even the atomic bomb. By that,
Mm.
I want to say, somewhere among us, or somehow among our reasoning, by our new understanding of wealth, some people are so rich that they forget that if only they are rich, and no matter how big their houses will be, those that are too poor to live, they will go to attack them. There is nothing you can do about that. This is happening in South Africa, this is happening also in Nigeria a lot. So that the typical building in anyway, this is not where this conversation should have come because they will need a lot of time to elaborate on it, no? Because we are moving towards the end of it. But let me just rush it, no? The typical building you have in Nigeria, contrary to what we used to have now, look like small military barrack. That is also what you have in South Africa. Except, of course, maybe you are living within your class, no? But if you are sort of a little bit, you are rich, you are really rich, or the people around you are all poor, it's obvious that you are going to make your house look like a military barrack. Now, the point is that let's move away from that. Is we need to really think for other people. We need to think that this world doesn't belong to you alone because you managed to be very rich. For this reason, you are going to spend it alone doing things that are not necessary. Think for others. I just wanted to think that one because I really enjoy not only for your children, but the people that are around your children. That is very, very important. It's about the spirit of Ubuntu, no? It's not only you. Don't think that you are too smart. Think
Yeah,
for other people too.
truly. It's the spirit of Ubuntu. It's the spirit of being, for me, being a woman in both my father's culture, being Cheyenne Native American. Um, Being a woman is a person who is a holder of many powers and many gifts. and holding family sacred. Family isn't just whom I birthed from my womb, but all that is around me benefits from that energy. And I think that when we create spaces for that, for the feminine power, for the woman, for the divine woman to be, she thinks in that sort of capacity. And if you think of your mother and your grandmother, there was plenty of people that they fed. They extended their tables, despite that they had this much oil and this much flour or this much rice. They found a way to make sure that there was welcoming, and that's the ability to create family and legacy, because your grandmother and your great grandmother there may not be with us anymore, but people remembered how that they were treated, and that piece of goodness stays with you, and it blooms and blossoms and motivates you to in some small way to continue that legacy on.
All right, now we're moving towards the end of it. And the question to you is just direct. How do you really develop a family?
Well, I will say something very controversial, and it's personal. So this is a personal reaction. A family needs to have balance. So there's many single mothers in the world, and we do a wonderful job as women. There needs to be a balance in that. And that balance needs to come from the extended family to provide support, but it also needs to come from the person who helped to create these children with that woman.
Please go.
And so there's many people who believe in monogamy, many people who believe in polygamy. Some people even believe in polyandry. I'm not here to debate that belief system on any of it. I have a personal preference that I prefer. However, I do believe that a whole functioning family that's focused on well-being over the life course, on building family. For example, family of 10 or 11, one's a doctor, one's a nurse, one's a pharmacist, one's a mechanic. Then all the people of the family know where they go and they shop and they do business. And they're building their own economic framework. And then that framework supports the development of a community. And that community, right, that name of that family is well known because they can provide for their family and then the surrounding people for their safety, for their welfare, for the goodness, and bring joy and happiness into the communal environment of which they are with. And as a woman, um, in doing this work, as which business and otherwise, having a partner to do this work with, someone that is your equal. Um, and and when I say equal, it is not in the terms of I can do all things that someone else can do, but my equal in the fact that they carry the same values that I carry, that they have the same desires that I do for the development and business and legacy attainment matters most in doing this work.
Absolutely important. And when you were talking of energy, talking of balance, you cannot overstate that. That is absolutely important, both for the children that are growing up and both for the society that we live in. It is very, very important, that balance. Okay, now, talking from family, talking from business mindset, talking from your experience as a human being, you have undergone a journey, and especially also going to baptize yourself in Africa. That is very important, no? You have make also, that is a spiritual connection, in fact, that for me is more than just business. So the question, this one also is very direct. What have you learned?
I learned that God loves me. He counts my tears, answers my prayers, and his partner, wisdom, is my friend.
That is powerful, and that need to be kept like that. Okay, now, how would you like to conclude this podcast? We have come to the end of it. We talked actually a lot about many, many important things, and They are really quite rich and valuable for people that are listening and watching us just now. What would be the ending statement from you about family and family development, business? Talk about African development. We talk about mm, a little bit of also a Pan-Africanism, because if we're talking of African interests, how to survive and do our own thing in this world, that is the basic concept at the end of the day. So, how would you like to conclude the conversation?
So I want to say thank you for having me on. To have this conversation with you, it has been delightful. I think it spanned a lot of topics, from business to personal insights, and sharing some knowledge, and having an opportunity to share about my company and myself, and our values. Ending this conversation, I would say that it is time to build the Africa we deserve. And we cannot build the Africa we deserve without having partnerships. The International Institute is open for partnerships and development opportunities to ensure that there is job creation and industry development within African nations. Please utilize our services. You won't be disappointed.
It has been a pleasure on my part. I really appreciate that.